So I have a couple questions about psychedelics. Apparently my psychedelics video struck a chord with a lot of different people. It's cool I could be in the same realm as, Terrence McKenna and Joe Rogan, whoever, I don't know. But yeah, it's been a very valuable part of my life. I have another question about psychedelics, and this one asks, how have you integrated the psychedelic experience into your ordinary, day-to-day, conscious, co-creative experience, specifically? And the biggest thing about it is the understanding of the construct of separation, the construct of, isolation, and these ideas that we have in our minds. When you're under the magical spell of the magical mushrooms, that breaks down very rapidly. And so I don't necessarily like for instance, we have this Occupy thing going on, and they're like, we're the 99%. Really there is no we, it's just I am human. So I don't see this division of 99 and 1%. We are human. I am human. And it's hard for me to find an enemy, to be upset with a group or an idea when really that idea is just a perspective held by that human species, that complex creature that is humanity. So I guess, it's a really hard thing to describe because, language is really inadequate. So, if that just sounds like contradictory, it's because it is. It's language. But I don't see myself as separate, from all of these different things around me. I understand that I move free of these objects, but when I move, these objects move along with me. So we move together. It's like a dance, I guess. It's one of those things, I guess, that has to be felt and lived and experienced. But another thing is that fear of death. Since my psychedelics video, my grandmother died, and it was really interesting to see my perspective. I was there at her deathbed. Actually, everyone in my family, every one of her progeny, is that the word? they were all there, like her kin, like her, she was responsible for the lives of a lot of people. She had 9 kids and 13 grandkids and 30 something great grandkids, and it's just huge influence that this woman's had, and I didn't feel cheated. Other people felt like, I can't do this without you, and I'm looking around going, she's everywhere. Everyone here is a direct, like, we are the consequence of her life, and we're here. Like, she's, a lot of people, like in this thing about death, and speaking of people in the past tense, why? First of all, if you believe in like a religious context, they're just in heaven. So why do we speak of them like they were? My grandma was beautiful. My grandma is beautiful. And like George Carlin, for instance. George Carlin is dead, and so he was funny. No, George Carlin is funny. He still is funny. Like, that didn't go away. He still has that effect. He's still influential. So that's another part of the part of that experience. I don't know if that really addresses the day-to-day co-creative experience. I don't know how to answer that. We'll just, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll give you guys a treat. I'm gonna tell you my latest psychedelic experience. I've only had one since the one that I described, or the two that I described in my previous video. This was my first place living on my own. I was actually raising pigeons for this guy who raised them. They're racing pigeons, which I didn't know existed, and I got this opportunity to go live and raise these guys' pigeons. So here I am by myself, feeling very lonely, like I said in a previous video, because I felt that I shouldn't be alone, that I didn't deserve to be alone. You know, I'm not really accepting the reality of the situation is that I am here. I am alone, and this is how I'm going to live until something comes along that changes that. So I'm living in this pigeon shack in an apartment. I'm very large. I mean, it's larger than most people's house. And I decided that it was well, actually I didn't decide it. My friend came along. That's the thing with mushrooms, is I don't go out and find them most of the time. They come to me. And I almost feel like it's kind of like it's the universe saying, hey, Austin, you are ready to reconnect to the higher spiritual self, oneness, whatever. And so this time he had them in chocolate form. My friend comes by with something that looks like a Reese's peanut butter cup. And we had a sliver that night, me, him, and his wife. And we ran around like children. And it was nice, but she had a hard time accepting it. Like, she wanted to be in control. She wanted not to be a child, and so there was that constantly being held back by the insecurities. Well, I decided that I was going to go out to nature a day or two later by myself. And I lived near the mountains, and I don't know if you're not familiar with Salt Lake City, the closer you get to the mountains, the steeper the hills become. And you have a steep hill, and then it levels off, and then it goes steep again, and then it levels off, and then it goes even steeper, and then it levels off, and then it becomes the mountains, which are almost vertical. So I'm riding my bicycle on a pretty significant ride, maybe like 8 miles to get there, and it's pretty strenuous. And when I get there, there's this huge hill that I have to climb up on my bicycle that, it's so steep I'm almost popping oily in my the easiest gear that I have to pedal in. And I make it up this hill. I actually ended up walking up most of it just because of how exhausted I was. And I get to the top of this hill. Now I'm at the foot of the mountain. And this trail, it's actually a pretty significant hike. It goes like 1,000 or 2 feet vertical in 3/4 of a mile. It's like really quite a climb. I mean, so you get to a point in time in this climb where your feet start to slide. So I'm climbing up this hill, and at the foot of the trail I eat the entire chocolate. So most of it, 3/4 of the chocolate. And I'm getting up to the top of the hill, and I come to this sacred spot that I've spent a lot of time at. And by this point in time, it's starting to kick in, and I am not feeling well. I am dehydrated. I am exhausted. And I decide I got to go get under this rock, get down by the river, and cool down. I'm not feeling well. So I go and I climb under this big rock. I'm talking like a really big rock. Now, in the Rocky Mountains, there are rocks that are bigger than buildings, like single rocks. And this rock here was, no exception. So I'm sitting there, and I'm not feeling so good. So I end up curling into a ball and just closing my eyes. And at this point in time, it just feels wrong. Like your energies are out of balance, and like your skin just feels wrong, and your guts feel wrong, and everything just feels wrong. I'm just closing my eyes, and I'm just trying. And I know that this has happened. This happens. This is part of the experience. And I'm just relaxing, and this like sounds and light are just too intense, and I can't handle it. And I'm laying there, and I open up my eyes, laying on the ground on my side in the dirt, and everything is moving. It looked like, I don't know if I was in an ant pile or tripping, but everything was moving. This black dots. It looked like ants carrying things just everywhere. And I'm like, close my eyes again because just that sight was so intense. Like, I can't handle it. I'm thinking, man, I'm going to get this ants or whatever all over me. So I stand up and I walk over to the rock and I lean against the rock, like with my hands like against it and my head just against this rock. And I can feel this rock breathing. It's breathing. I'm sitting here just feeling this motion and this movement and feeling that this rock is not inanimate, that it's alive. And I'm kind of losing myself into this when I hear a voice above me. And the voice very clearly says, "Hey bro, are you tripping?" And I look up, and above me, on top of this rock, 30 feet up, there's a silhouette of a figure. And I look up to him and I say, "Yeah, man, I'm tripping balls." He says back to me, "Well, would you like to come and smoke a joint?" "Yeah, man, that sounds wonderful." And so I start to climb up this rock. He's like, "Be careful, man, be careful." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I think I can do this." And I'm climbing up, and it's a pretty good climb. And I managed to make it up to the top. And when I get to the top, I see a group of people. Like, there's two couples and this gentleman. And this man is like this beautiful, dark skinned. He's got a beard and like braided hair pulled back and like under his hat. Like, he's got long braided hair. And I have this feeling, this very like to my core feeling that I know this guy. Like, this is not the first time we've met. And we start to talk. He's asking me, "Hey man, what do you want?" And I said, "I took some mushrooms." And, "Oh well, yeah, bro, I like mushrooms. What are you seeing?" And we're passing this joint around and standing on the edge of this rock and looking into this big ravine. And on the other side is just 70, 80, 90 foot sheer rock faces that are gorgeous. And I'm seeing them in high definition. And these people are asking me these questions, and I feel as though I've already been asked all of these questions. It just feels so much like I've already been here. Like, I just had this very strong familiarity, and especially with this man, who to me felt like some kind of like indigenous. Like, he felt like I met him here at this rock a really long time ago, and that's the thoughts that are going through my head. And we're sitting there and we're smoking and we're talking and I mean, this is a place where I've made love many times before. It's a sacred spot. Like, it had this sacred energy, and just now I'm feeling this energy. I'm feeling this breath, and I'm feeling this connection, and I feel this connection to the past, and it's beautiful. Anyways, we finally, we finished smoking, and they get up there. They're ready to hike back down this mountain, and I start walking with them. And I take 2 steps out of this wooded area, and I get stuck at the beauty of these sights that I'm seeing. And I stand there for what feels like 15 minutes, just taking it all in, wondering why this wondering why this rock is like shaped this way. And I noticed that there's all these different materials and different colors, and the colors are so vibrant. And after 15 minutes, I take 2 more steps and then get stuck in another view, a different scene. And it took me a very long time to make it down this hill. I had hikers coming up and just giving me the weirdest look as I'm just staring into the, just staring at these rocks, these rock formations. I mean, very large rock formations. I'll show you pictures. And I come to around this corner, and here I see the Salt Lake Valley, and it's the sunset. And it is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm staring at it. I'm just taking it in, and I think, well, you know what? I need to get a picture of this, because this is probably the most beautiful sunset of my entire life. And I pull out my cell phone, and I look, and the desktop on my cell phone is that sunset. Exactly that sunset. Like, I'm comparing the two together. I cannot see a difference between the two. I'm actually standing at the very spot that I was standing when I took that picture. And the sunset and the colors and the sky are identical. As if those two moments in time were like the same. And it got me thinking about that gentleman that I met and his friends. Anyways, I came down the mountain finally and hopped on my bicycle and rode down that steep hill faster than I've ever gone down any hill in my life, which I don't like to ride down hills. It's not easy to stop. My bicycle's moving so fast that my bearings are making this sound, which not a great sound. But the funny thing is I had no fear. Like, no fear. I just was there. I was present, you know. And I rode down that hill as fast as I could, which was amazing. And down at the bottom, I started to get back into like the regular city, and I ran into this sign in the middle of nowhere, just in a field, not even off the side of the road, like, you know, 20-30 feet in from the road, and the sign says, "No parking, stopping, or standing." And everything that led up to that event made sense. You know, it wasn't strange that I ran into some gentleman that spoke calmly to me while I was in a very odd mental state. And it wasn't strange to me that everything that we spoke about seemed as if I'd already had this conversation. And it wasn't strange that sunset was, you know, at the same spot, like as if this thing had happened twice. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out this sign. No parking, stopping, or standing. And why someone would pay to mount a sign on a pole in the middle of a field that makes no sense. The dichotomy, you know, of the mind of the civilized man, the socialized man, and just nature in its, you know, purest form. The contrast between the side of that mountain, the rock formations, and this city with this sign that made no sense. It really stuck with me. You know, it was a very interesting ending. So I took that with me, and that was the last time. That was a long time ago, actually. You know, year and a half maybe. And I haven't really felt a need to take psychedelics since then. Someday it will happen again. I plan on doing it again, but yeah, that's it.